travel back in time. Some years ago, I did a series called 5 Minutes of Fire, but if anybody knows me, most of those segments went over 5 minutes, but they are loaded with information, with inspiration, with motivation, and we're going to reload some of those powerful episodes and run them back for you. So get ready. Here we go.
Hello, everybody. Dr. Rick Wallace here from the Visionetics Institute, dropping in for another segment of 5 Minutes of Fire. Once again, I want to thank everybody for all of your feedback on the new segment, new series, 5 Minutes of Fire. I love the feedback that I'm getting, the engagement. I really, truly hope that it is providing some sense of inspiration, uh, giving you at least an idea of what's possible in your life and urging you to a point of taking action. No matter what you want out of life, until you get to a point that your belief that it's possible is so strong that it drives you to significant and excessive and massive action, it will never become a reality. It's about applying an action to an idea and doing it with an intensity and a consistency that yields a result. And that is, it's that simple. I want to talk to you real important about daily disciplines, and I'm not going to get into all of them, but I want to talk about the importance of daily disciplines that groom you for success. You've heard me say before that success leaves clues, that if you want to be successful at something, you observe people who are being successful in that area. You begin to pattern yourself, pattern your behavior, pattern your speech, start to speak. One of the things that is probably most uncomfortable that I teach um, my clients, and it's something that I do on a regular basis. I mean, literally daily. And when you first start doing it, it's going to be uh, extremely weird, uncomfortable. It's going to feel weird because it's going to take you out of a place that you're used to. You're used to being in a place that every thought, every expression falls within the confines of a certain uh, idea of what's acceptable, what's real. I don't want to sound stupid. I don't want to look foolish. I'm not going to go anywhere. Everything is about presenting a certain expression of yourself that is acceptable. But what you find is you're making yourself acceptable to people who have no desire to excel. The more you look around you and you see people who are exceeding what is the norm or the status quo, there's a little something about them that's not quite right, right? It's not that they're not quite right. It's that they are living in a way and doing things in a way that the average person hasn't experienced. So it's alien to them. And because it's alien, it's foolish, it's crazy. You know, there once upon a time was a point where you say, man, I'm a flying a machine and I'm gonna go around the world in this machine with baggage and other passengers, and people will look at you like you're crazy, you're talking stupid. And how many times did Orville and Wilbur Wright hear how stupid they were before they made that idea and a reality? And you can talk to Roger Bannister, you can talk to the guy who invented the telephone, you can talk to the guy who invented the cell phone, you can talk on and on about people who are able to see things and move towards things that are not common yet, and the way people look at them. So you can't base what you're doing on how other people will perceive you. You've got to get to a point to determine, is what I'm looking at and wanting really worth having? And if it's worth having, then I've got to apply a certain intensity, a certain effort level, a certain amount of action to it. And that when I apply action to an idea, it produces the end result. But without massive action, it can't. But how do you get massive action when so many different things are interrupting you? How do you get to a point where you start to believe that the impossible is possible? How do you get to the point where the daily disruptions, the setbacks, the hardships, the frustrations don't deter you? Because I'm going to tell you, they're there. every day. There are frustrations, there are challenges, there are people that are in your way. There are people that are bringing negative energy. There are people who are simply hoping and wishing for your demise. There's the constant push of all of the things you've got to become in order to get to the next level that you aren't currently. I tell you all the time, if you want something you don't yet readily have consistently, it's because you haven't become that person. You may be able to pattern yourself and make something happen for a minute, but if you don't develop and become the person, you will revert back to who you normally are, which is your what I call your thermostat settings. Your thermostat is going to always bring you back to the setting. You can change it. You can do some things to change it for a minute, but the common force is going to bring you back to the setting. But anyway, before I talk about the disciplines that groom you for success, I want to talk real briefly about success because I think the relative expression of success, the way that it can be defined in so many ways. Some people think you're successful if you have money. Some people think you're successful if you have a lengthy marriage. Some people think you're successful if everybody likes you. There's all of these different definitions or descriptions of what success is that makes it nebulous, that makes it difficult to get an idea of whether you're doing it. And the one thing that I can tell you is a lot of people are progressing, but because they don't have a real clear picture of what they're progressing towards, it's hard for them to measure their progress. It's hard for them to see that they're moving. It's hard for them to see that I used to be here, but I'm here now. I'm not way over there yet, which is where I'm trying to get, but I'm not where I was when I started. That's progress. Progress to me at the ultimate definition is the ultimate definition of success. And I'll explain to you why. Long time ago, when I was a little kid, I used to listen to these LPs. For those who don't know what an LP is, you young people, it's a vinyl album. Long before cassette tapes and CDs and SDs and all this other stuff we have now that we keep our information on, music and comedy and everything else was presented on an album, and before there were what you call turntables and all that, which still was a turntable, but it was called a Victrola, and I forget what you call it before that, but my grandmother would get these things for me, and I would play them, and there was a guy by the name of Earl Nightingale, considered to be the dean of motivational speakers and positive thought, and he would define success, and I'm paraphrasing, as the consistent progressive movement towards a worthy goal. Now, you are going to determine what the worthy goal is. What is it that's worth something to you, that's valuable to you, that you can sit up and say, it makes me better, it gives me greater impact, it gives me greater force, it brings value. When it's something of worth and you are progressing towards it, you are experiencing success. One of the greatest hindrances to consistent success is the belief that your success isn't valid until you reach a certain goal. So your goals are incremental, meaning that you're going to have a 90-day goal, a 6-month goal, a year goal, maybe a 2.5-year goal, 5-year goals. Now, 5-year projections and 5-year goals, a 5-year idea of where you would like to be, but having you can have a 5-year goal, but a 5-year plan, the evolution of how things are moving so fast now says you can't predict enough to predict that far ahead off what your plan will be. Now, you can sit up and say what you want your situation to be, and that will be your goal. But to have a 5-year plan right now is just crazy, because I guarantee you there's so much adjustment that will have to take place over that time that you just need to really be inside of 2.5 years. That there used to be a time, because everything was done the same way for so long, that you could have a 5-year plan and work it and pretty much stay on it. Now, what works yesterday won't work today. And literally, I mean, it's changing that fast. So you've got to actually learn how to stay up ahead of the trends. It's something that you need to do. And I'll talk about that in another 5. But right now, anyway, what you have to learn to do is literally sit up and say, okay, I've got these increments which represent my goals, but they're only going to come maybe 3 times a year, 90 days, 6 months, 1 year. If that's the only time I'm going to celebrate success, I'm going to have a lot of days where I'm weighted down. I'm going to have a lot of days where I'm emotionally drained. I'm going to have a lot of days where things just seem suck like they suck because I'm not celebrating my progress. I'm not celebrating and enjoying the success. The success is in the micro progressions. You get those every day. That's something to lift your spirit. That's something to be grateful for. That's something to establish your foundation of gratitude. The fact that you're not where you were yesterday. The fact that you're not where you were 6 months ago. The fact that some of the things that bothered you in your life 3 years ago are not there. No, you're not where you're going. And the truth is, if you're truly driving yourself, you're never going to be where you are trying to get. Why? Because the moment you get there, you're going to set a new goal with new heights, with new expectations, and to push you beyond. So you're never, ever going to get somewhere. You're on a journey of constant motion and constant movement, heading towards something greater each and every day. And it's in the idea that I can arrive somewhere that a lot of people get stuck because they get the car, they get the house, and they get comfortable, or they get the six-figure gig and they get comfortable, or they get certain places and all of a sudden they think they've arrived and they don't realize that this world operates, this universe operates in motion. So if I'm not moving forward, I'm moving backward. There's no such thing as static. There's no such thing as just stuck. You're moving forward or you're moving backwards, and you start to build momentum either way. If you don't watch yourself, once you start to slow down, you're going to start to move backwards. And the longer you allow yourself to regress, the more momentum you get going the opposite direction, and the harder it is to stop it because everything is in motion. Now you're going to take a substantial amount of force to stop the negative movement. That's why you're consistently engaging and measuring your life daily. Why? Because the moment you see something out of whack, you straighten it out, you deal with it, you address it, and you readjust. But when you wake up every morning and you sit up and say, you know what, look at myself, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. That's why daily routines and disciplines and rituals are so important to grooming you for success. And to me, the most important ritual that I have is I prime myself. I prepare myself daily to take on the challenges. Why? Because I know they're coming. I have long since become disillusioned when it comes to believing that everything's just going to fall in line. Everything's going to do everything I want it to do, that everybody's going to act the way I want them to act, that everybody's going to say exactly what I want them to say, that all my clients are going to be on time, that every person I've got signed up for a consultation will actually sign a contract to work with me. That's not going to happen. So I have to, first of all, prime myself. Why? Because when I prime myself, I control the state of mind, the state of my existence at which I engage the world that day. When I sit up and wake up and I prime myself, I determine and set the standard of how I'm going to function and operate. I'm controlling my state of existence, and I'm determining how I'm going to engage the day. I can't control what the next person does, but I can control how I respond to it. And my best opportunity to do that well is to start my day out right. So I start my day out with first of all, my priming begins with an establishing a mindset of gratitude. What 3 things do I have to be grateful for today? Well, one is always a constant. I am extremely grateful for my marriage. I'm extremely grateful for my wife. It's something that I've wanted and waited for a long time, and I'm enjoying that now. And the growth pains and the growth processes and the unbelievable things that are happening now, I'm enjoying all of that because I've waited for it for so long. I've gone through so many channels in life to get there. So that's a constant. I never changed the first one. But, you know, and I'm obviously grateful for my kids and all of that. And I'm grateful for the ability to be able to go out and change lives. But I'm grateful that nearly 50 years ago, well, I'm 50 now, but, you know, roughly, 50 years ago, my great-grandparents decided that they would take me, adopt me, and raise me. I'm grateful for that because that changed the course of my life. I know for a fact that it did. I'm grateful for Miss Francois, Geraldine Francois, my elementary school teacher. I'm grateful for Mr. John Brewer, my 7th grade history teacher. I'm grateful for Ms. Dewberry, my 11th grade English teacher. I'm grateful for so much that happened that shaped uh, who I am and how I believe in myself and what led me down the journey that has me sitting in front of you today. And I can think of so many different things each and every day that I'm grateful for. It's not always the same thing. That constant is my wife, but I can find so many things I'm grateful for, and I set the tone. In the late, I lay the foundation. A lot of you are trying to build your structure of efficacy, your structure of success, your structure of progression on a shaky foundation. You're motivated by anger, frustration. You've got all this other stuff that's working as your foundation. And because you don't have, I'm telling you, there's no greater foundation than gratitude. Gratitude is a foundation that's solid. Gratitude leads to you being grateful for things that most people don't even give attention to. Grateful for breathing God's air. Grateful for the fact that you've got one more chance in this world to do something exceptional, extraordinary, and phenomenal. You're grateful because it, as bad as it may seem, it could be worse. You're grateful because you used to be something you're no longer. You're grateful because no matter how hard life tried to take you out, you're still standing. And that gratefulness lays the foundation that says, if I've survived this far, if I've come this far, there's nothing that can break me. I've been through it. And then you have this gratitude. And see, the wonderful thing I love about gratitude, when you're truly in a state of gratitude, you can't be fearful. You can't be angry. You can't be jealous. You can't be envious. You can't be terrified of anything. All of the things that are low energy, low vibration, low frequency are automatically eliminated the moment you enter into a state of gratitude. You automatically raise your frequency when you can find a reason to be grateful. Now, one thing that I learned is to protect my sovereignty, my personal sovereignty when I enter into this. And I'm gonna try to go ahead and shut this down. I still have not mastered this 5-minute thing, but hey, that's I'm me. I'm working on it. I'm determined to cut this down. But I love to leave you with something that you can truly get and understand. And I don't like to rob people of stuff trying to rush through things. But check this out. Uh, One of my mentors told me that you got to be careful to protect your sovereignty. There are certain things that you do over the course of the day in which you sell or you give away or surrender your sovereignty. And I started to look for things and start to study other people and find out, what practices they have in the day to sustain their sovereignty. I'm gonna give you a prime example of your sovereignty. I just told you how you wake up and you set your state. You wake up every day and you prime yourself. You put yourself in the right mental state, emotional state, spiritual state, and physical state by bringing yourself into one with holistically with yourself and with your purpose and with your idea of what's going on. Then you determine within yourself what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. And you set an expectation of performance, not an expectation of ease, not an expectation everything's going to go all right, but an expectation of performance despite what happens. Then you get to it. But what I found is that if you don't get to the priming first, if you start to engage life, you wake up and your phone rings and you answer it. You surrender your sovereignty because whatever's on the other end of that phone line is going to have an impact on your state of mind. If you wake up every morning and these dopamine generating devices, I mean, they literally are designed to generate dopamine. That's why you can't put them down. It's like I was fortunate enough to grow up in a time. I was fortunate enough to grow up in a time that wasn't none of this stuff. If you went out, you met a girl and you liked the girl and you wanted her number and you didn't have a pen, you had to remember that number. And how many of you are old enough to remember? You remembered the number. I mean, you remembered it. It wasn't like, you had to, I got you, I'm gonna call you. You remembered the name, the number, the face, everything was great. You were engaging yourself at an intellectual level that demanded something of you. A quote I read, I'm going to read it to you now, from Albert Einstein explains exactly where I'm going with it. It says, I fear the day that technology will surpass our human interaction. The world will have a generation of idiots. And here we are now, can't remember anything. We turn to the phone for everything. But it's not just in using it as a piece of equipment or a device that provides us with information. It's how much we depend on it to set our moods, and without even realizing it, we surrender our sovereignty to it. Let me explain something, how this works. If I wake up every day and the first thing I do is I get up and I establish a sense of gratitude, which I do almost automatically. Now, when I get up, I look over and I wait to see her take a breath. When I see her breathe and I know she's still with me, that's gratitude. That sets the day. I mean, I can have the most horrible day in the world. I'm going to be good because she's breathing. And that's the mindset I have. And then, I build on that. I build on all the things that are there, and I have all this stuff to be grateful for. So no matter how bad it gets, there's a lot of people out there that's a lot worse off than me. And I know that I have never come in contact with anything I couldn't overcome. So I'm good. But let me tell you what happens. If I wake up and before I look over and see my wife breathing, I pick up this phone, and on it, because now you get your notifications on the phone. If on it says, your client is canceling for the day, or your client has decided to back out of the contract, or so-and-so got killed in a car accident, and all these things like that, things you will need to know at some point during the day. But if you didn't wake up until an hour later, you wouldn't know it until an hour later. So you're not going to watch that. What does it do? It sets your state. It automatically puts you in a position where you feel like a victim. It puts you in a position where you feel like you're out of control. It puts you in a position where, and then let me show you something else that this little machine does. See, we live in a world right now where you got people who are presenting images of their perfect life. You never get to see the dark stuff. Nobody's talking about the dark stuff. And I'm not saying you need to share your dark stuff on social media. That's not what I'm saying at all. Certain things don't belong out in front of everybody. You don't cast everything you have in front of everybody. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is you got to understand that you are not seeing the totality of someone's life, but you are judging your life based on where they're at. Or they're on vacation, but they're not telling you that the lights are off back home because they didn't pay the light bill in order to go on vacation. You just see them out there and you're like, man, why can't I go on a vacation? Now where's the gratitude? Where's the gratitude? See, you've already given up. You've already surrendered your sovereignty. You picked it up. You looked at something you had no control over, because you don't control what's coming through that device. We've got all these interactions with one another that doesn't require any intimacy, any closeness. We're observing everybody from a distance, and we are coming up with these ideas of what is. Nobody understands anybody's struggle anymore because nobody has to get close enough. So I only have to look at it and see what I want to see. And depending on where I'm at in my life, I'm going to interpret what I'm seeing based on that. So the interpretation is relative. It's not real. It's how I'm feeling at the time and what I see. And if I don't take control of my sovereignty, if I don't establish a heart of gratitude, a mindset of gratitude, if I don't establish an intent of doing something exceptional that day, if I don't establish that I have the capacity to have an impact on my life that day, my life will have an impact on me. No, I'm not saying that if you wake up in prime, nothing's going to go wrong. I'm telling you, you don't stop things from happening wrong in your life. You don't have this perfect life you cruise through and don't have any concerns or cares. It doesn't happen that way. Uncertainty is a part of this process. But when you know who you are, when you have a state of gratitude, when you have a state of confidence in yourself, there is nothing that will move against you that shakes you at the core. It may catch you off guard. You may have to grab yourself and get your balance, but you're ready. You're prepared. So the first thing you got to do is prime. The next thing you've got to do after you finish priming is you have to establish at least 2 things you're going to get done today. I try to make it 3. Whatever it is. It may be something where that you're working on your health. So you say, well, I'm going to get to the gym today. I'm going to walk a mile today. I'm going to do that. That's one thing. I'm going to get this report done. Or I'm going to write, with me, I'm going to write at least 3 articles. I'm going to write at least another chapter of the next book. I'm going to something that is significant. And what you want to do is find the thing that has the greatest significance, not the thing that is the easiest. Because what we have a tendency to do is try to create this long list of to-dos and that are checked off. So we'll have all these to-dos that we need to get done in a day, and we start knocking them off based on how quick we can get them done. And normally the things we can get done real quickly don't have the same gravity and weight as the things that need to get done, absolutely need to get done, and they take a little longer, and they're a little bit more complicated, and they require a little bit more of you. We don't do that. And what happens as we get through the course of the day, around about 12, 1 o'clock, we realize that the capacity to think isn't the same as it was when we were fresh. The energy we have is not what it used to be when it was 6 o'clock in the morning. And now we've got this big task that's in front of us, and it's just not there. We don't have what it takes to get it done, and it gets pushed off when it should have been done first. When you had the focus, when you had the energy, when your decision-making capacity was at its best, is when you need to be doing the things that are most important to you. That's a discipline. You wake up and say, this is what I need to do, this is what I need to do, this is what I need to do. And you try to do that as often as you possibly can. And eventually it will become something natural, something common for you. But you have to take on your daily disciplines. You have to engage life. You have to understand that success is happening every day. It's not something that's just found in the achievement of a goal. It's found in all those micro progressions that you absolutely have to celebrate. And don't let this thrust of the demand for false humility cause you to sit back in a corner. Sometimes you got to beat your own chest. Nobody's going to do it for you. Sometimes you got to pat your own back because nobody's going to do it for you. That's not being arrogant. That is celebrating something that you've achieved, and you've got a right to do that. Arrogance is the ignorance of process. Arrogance is the person who knows what they have and think they did it on their own, and that it makes them better than everybody else. Being able to sit up and say, you know what, I'm a beast at what I do, is not arrogance. It's strong forward confidence. Now, if you sit up and say, I'm a beast at what I do, ain't nobody ever helped me, I'm a self-made millionaire, I'm a self-made entrepreneur, I'm a self-made this, ain't nobody better than me, and you suck, you this, and y'all wish y'all was like me, all that. Now you're moving into arrogance because you've lost the context of your gifting, the context of your talent, the context of your capacity. And now you think it's all about you. That's arrogant. But sitting up knowing you're a beast, that's something you better know, because if you don't know, the world will convince you that you're not. I guarantee you, when you sit up and you're trying so hard to sit up and say, well, I'm all right. No, I put the hard work in to be who I am. I'm a beast at it. I know because I see the results. And you build on it. And finally, this is the one that's going to sound really foolish, that really just trips my clients out. I spoke about it at the beginning of this video. Start to speak affirmations in a present tense. I am wealthy. I am successful. I am prosperous. I am. And I mean, speak it. Then get images. Find you an affirmation video. That subliminal video that sits up and does it for you, and then just repeat what it's saying to you over and over and over again. And you're going like, wow, that's foolish. Number one, that's not real. It is real. You just haven't experienced it in the third dimension. The moment you believe it and you think it, it becomes a reality in the fifth dimension. Your thoughts plant the seed. Now you've got to cultivate it, though. You've got to consistently remind yourself of it. That's the nourishment. You've got to consistently put in the work. That's the watering. You've got to consistently come back and check it and monitor it. That's a part of the process. But you're bringing it from the fifth dimension to the fourth dimension, the third dimension, where you can feel it, you can see it, you can use it. But it's already real. And the wonderful thing about the human brain and the human mind is it does not have a timestamp. It sees everything in the present. See, that's why you constantly reliving a lot of things from the past, and you're in that cycle of frustration about something you can't seem to get out of because you're still living in the past. You're still speaking about your past. And while you consciously know it's your past, your subconscious sees it as the present. And so it perpetuates the behavior that created it. But if you want to sit up and you want to do better, you got to see where you want to go, and you got to talk like you want to be there. I am prosperous. I am wealthy. I am this. And if you want to be even more specific, I am a millionaire. I am a big, I mean, you sit up and speak it and you're saying that sounds crazy. But when I study the people who've done it, when I look at what I've accomplished, it all came from me sitting up knowing that while I can't touch it yet, it's already mine, but I got to still put in the work. You've got to have some connectivity to your dream or it will escape you. Why? Because it's so unreal to your current self. And the more you speak of it in the positive, in a positive sense, in a present tense, the more connected you become to it, the more real it becomes, the more you begin to embrace it, the more you begin to speak it and think it. And the self-talk that you have will become the software that your brain runs, and that will produce the results you desire. You've got to get with it. I'm telling you not what I heard, not what I read, or what I saw at some seminar. I'm telling you how I've overcome some of the most unbelievable obstacles in my life. I'm telling you that if you're breathing, you're still in the fight. I'm telling you that if you wake up and you decide that, hey, you know what, this is who I am, this is what I want, and you determine you're going to go get it, the universe has no option but to conspire with you to make sure you have it. The universe is designed to respond to your faith, your belief in yourself, your words, your thoughts, your actions. It cannot deny you what you demand of it when it's meant for good and the energy is set. You have control over your destiny that you never even thought you had. Look, this is like 50, I've got what, 6 5-minute segments in this one video. I've got to do better. I got to do better. But look, I really appreciate you stopping by. I really appreciate, the feedback that I've been getting from the 5 minutes of fire videos. I've got to really, like I said, do better with the 5 minutes. It's getting worse than better. But this was a lot to share. And I'm going to have to find a way to break this down. But anyway, I thank you guys who were able to stop by. I may have to retitle this and just call it Daily Discipline. So I don't know about 5 minutes of fire. But anyway, look, you're in control of your life to the extent that you invest in being in control, in sustaining your sovereignty, in taking on life instead of having life direct you. So you have to take the energy of your thoughts and properly invest it and properly set it. You are designed to do exceptional, extraordinary, and phenomenal. And it's your responsibility to maintain, monitor, and maintenance the design. And that's what priming is. It's sitting up and keeping you in an optimal state, in the ultimate state of existence, where you are spiritually at the top of your game, emotionally at the top of your game, mentally at the top of your game, physically at the top of your game. That's what I call holistic equilibrium. It's where you're completely in balance with yourself and you can sit up and take control of everything around you. It doesn't mean that things aren't going to happen that knock you a little bit to the left, to the right, or push you down, or maybe even knock you flat on your back. I've been there. But all you do is you get up, you dust yourself off, say, what's next? If I'm still breathing, I'm still in the fight. I'm still in the fight. I'm still swinging. I'm not going to stop swinging until I stop breathing. I'm not going to stop moving until I stop breathing. I'm not going to stop winning until I stop breathing. That's the mindset. It doesn't mean you don't get a gut shot that take the wind out of you, that stop you from breathing for a couple of seconds. It's coming, but you're built for it. Remind yourself every morning when you wake up and look in the mirror, I'm built for this. I don't care how bad it gets for me. I'm built for this. If I could tell you some of the things I've been through, I'm built for it. I mean, I don't expect everything to lay down for me. I like the challenge. Keeps me on my toes, keeps me alert, keeps me focused. Look, get out there, make something happen today. Touch some life. It doesn't have to be something that's going to end up on the evening news. It may not be but one person that knows you did it, but touch a life. Find a way to speak something positive into someone's life. Find a way to share or help someone. Show someone how to write a business plan. Show someone how to do a marketing analysis. Show someone how to shift liabilities to assets, how to increase their asset column while reducing their liability column. Talk to them about the foundational principles of wealth building. Talk to them about what it means to overcome trauma. Talk to them about anything that they may be going through that you have an understanding or some experience in. Give them that time. With that being said, I'm going to check out of here. Like I said, this ain't nowhere kind of way 5 minutes, but I don't know if I'm going to break this down into 7 now, 5-minute segments, or I'm just going to do what I do and plug it and let it play. You can take 5-minute break. I mean, take them in 5-minute segments if you like. I don't know. But I do know that I absolutely adore each and every one of you. You all have something special in you. Go out and make it work for you. Make it happen. You owe yourself that. You owe your children that. You owe this world the best you have to give. But most importantly, you owe yourself and your creator to live life at the level of your design. And I'll leave you with that. I'm out. Peace.
Yeah.